Hi, and welcome to another Type with Me. This week I want to talk about Ts.ED working with models. And models has everything to do with JSON objects and how to serialize and deserialize it and how to represent it, have some kind of validation on your models as well. So this is a really great and exciting topic to do so. So last week we created a to-do controller, right? And there in this to-do controller, we had the to-do service that we injected. It's a provider, right? And there we had just a list of strings there, right? And that's okay, but of course, mostly you want to work with more complex objects, right? So if you want to work with more complex objects, well, then we need to create here a new folder. So I'm gonna go here, I'm going to create a new folder, right, and that folder needs to be models, and in that folder I want to add to do item.model.ts, right. Of course I want to export model to do item. Maybe if you really want to have it as a model, you can say to do item model. It's never wrong to do so. And then we can say that a model has an ID, so that ID can be a string, right? Model has also a description, so for us it also will be a string, and a to-do can, for example, be checked. So it could be a boolean, and I also want to have priority of an item, a to-do item, and that priority needs to be of a number, right? So that's our first thing to do so. Here I want to add, for example, add name, and our name can be of an ID. Because what I want to do is, I don't want to have underscore ID, I want to have ID in my REST API, so that's the solution for that. Of course, it's a property, so I add here property, right? The description, well, for my description, it could be cool that it's also a property, and it's required. If I don't have a description, well, yeah, I don't know what to do, so that's for me important. Then here I want to have also a property. I want to have also something that's required. Then the priority, yeah, well, the priority is not required. It's a property also. Then, of course, we want to have something like at minimum. So minimum, it needs to be 1, and at max it needs to be 5, for example. And then you can just have a scale of 1 to 5 that you need to provide, and maybe at default it can be a 1. I don't know, just like that. So that's a little bit how I see it. Another great thing that I still want to mention, for example, is something like working item, and a working item can be also of number, but yeah, you don't want to expose it into your API, so you just can do something like ignore, and then you just ignore that one, right? So that's it. So now that we have our to-do item, we of course need to change this to item model, right? And we need to put it everywhere, so I also need to put it here, and then of course I need to put it here, right? So now we have that one. Of course we have some problems in our controller, because here we cannot create it, right? So what I want to do right here is do something like this: const to do item, something like that, new to do item model, And of course, I'm gonna add here something like to do item equals, and then just a name. Of course, it has to be having a description, something like that. And then, of course, to item dot underscore ID, it can be 1. I don't know. Or it can be whatever it needs to be, right? Something like this. That's not that of an importance, but that's okay. So now we just adapted that one, but yeah, that's not so nice. So what I want to do is I want to do something like a post, and post with /create, right? And then of course here I have something like create body at body params. Body params can be of to do item, and that's to do item model, and then I just return to do item. But also here I'm just gonna do this dot to do service dot create, and then we have here to do item, right? So that's basically it. So we just adapted our API. We have now also a great post. I'm going to use Postman to show you a little bit of the validation that's going on in our model. And I also want to show you which it uses under the hood, which framework it uses under the hood to do this JSON validation. So Ts.ED is using AGV JSON schema validator. It's a framework to work with JSON schemas and with JSON type definitions. Here are the JSON type definitions, and it's nice to work with that. So under the hood, it's also using that. So the add required that you saw there as a decorator, it's the same thing as what you have in the schema, and so it uses AGV validate to just validate the schema there. So it's nice to know that, and also nice to maybe look into that a little bit further. I also gonna plan a video around this because I think it's a very nice topic to do so. But okay, let's go now further on to Postman. So here I have Postman. Here I have rest/to-do/create. I have here my ID. So yeah, some ID, for example, because it doesn't matter, it's a string. Some ID for, I don't know. Then of course I want to say something like work with Postman, and then of course it's not checked yet, so I can do something like this, send, and then you see that it creates that one, right? But we have said that description was needed and also checked was needed. So if I do now send, you will see here bad request on parameter to do item model should have required property description, right? So I say, okay, I put description here. So yeah, so that's not great. So I say, okay, I put the checked there. So it works now. Okay, so now I put something like 5 and I say, okay, I want to have a priority there. And my priority, for example, is, for example, 7, right? So I send. Then of course you said, hey, to do item model.priority should be less or equal 5. So I say, okay, that's cool. I put 5. And then of course, when I do send, it just works. So the other question that I have is, can I send bogus property as well? So I do bogus, then I do something like this, bogus 23. When I go down here, you will see here that it's not having bogies in it, right? So it filters out things that are not being defined on the model, so that's also a great feature. So I had something like a working item. So working item, if I put it like that and I put this also there, you will see that it's not using that because it's on ignore. So that's for that. If I now say something like, okay, I want to go to the rest to do, for example, you'll see here when I do so that we have all our to-do items that we have created right there. And so that's awesome, right? So I hope you enjoyed it. It's nice to have a model there that you can construct, that you can work a little bit with it. That's easy to validate when you send something to your REST API. You have a lot of properties that you can put on there. So if you go to Ts.ED and then you look into what the possibilities are, what the decorators are, that would be a very good starting point to really work out your model in your REST API. I also want to thank everybody to listen to this video. I really enjoyed creating this video. It's really awesome to see such frameworks like Ts.ED come into place. They have a lot of great features to do this Json validation for serializing and deserializing things. And I think, it will really help you when you are creating great REST APIs for your company. So thank you very much for listening. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, if you have had something on this video, and subscribe if you didn't subscribe already to my channel. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.